Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Pazza podcast. Um, this is a little bit of a somber episode. Just got done watching the Supercoppa final, and man, what a collapse! Just absolutely sucks. That was a game I felt pretty good about going into the match, and just to collapse like that. It was a 3-2 victory for Milan, scored in the last minute. Tammy Abraham. A game that Inter should have won quite simply. I don't think anybody would debate that. Sometimes that's how football goes, though, and that's why we love it. But yeah, it's a tough one to see. I feel like this would hurt worse if it was, the Coppa Italia final or the Champions League final or, you know, last day of the Scudetto race or something. But, this was a trophy, and it's against our Milanese rivals who we have pretty handedly taken care of in the last few years. And this is now two in a row for them. Hopefully not because havoc. It was a game marred by, I think, some very questionable officiating. Don't think there's any debate to that as well. And ultimately, just a collapse on the side of Inter. I think Conceição made some decent subs. I think he did the right things to get Milan back in the game when the momentum was maybe shifting slightly. But make no mistake about it, I think Inter will be very disappointed to not have won this match. Um, we could talk a little bit about it going into it. We started the match with pretty much our strongest squad available to us currently. Jan Sommer in the back, Bisek, De Vrij, Bastoni along the back line, Dumfries, Barella, Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, Di Marco across the midfield, and Lautaro and Taremi making up the first or top strikers. First 10 minutes or so is kind of cagey, not much going. Teams really filling themselves out. We had a great chance. Bastoni played a great ball over the top to Lautaro. We were seeming, and Lautaro, great first touch. I think it was good off the line by Magnan. It was definitely a chance. It was kind of a theme of most of the match. Lautaro was very lively this match, which was nice to see. But yeah, we had a lot of over the top balls that first 10 minutes, it seemed like. I wrote, funny enough, Hakan seemed off. He had some real errant passes and touches in the first couple minutes, and that kind of maybe was due to an injury, which we won't jump ahead too far. But then they had the big chance. Pulisic played a really great pass in behind to Reinders, and he had a good chance. Taremi, it was a beautiful pass by Barella. It was one of those we kind of on the counter a little bit, and Milan's defense was running backwards, and Barella just stopped, picked his head up, and found the space brilliantly. It was almost like a Russell Wilson, if you're familiar with American football, like moon pass. It just like deftly went over with pace over the back line and just dropped perfectly at Taremi and his head. And you've got to do way at least put that on effort or something. Um, Taremi, we'll talk a little bit about him later. 13th minute, Hakan Çalhanoğlu with a great tackle on Yunus Musa. World that shows his world class abilities and why he's the best deep lying center midfielder, regista, whatever you want to call it in the world. Uh, Covered a lot of ground, but it did look laborious. And again, Hakan seemed a little off despite, that great tackle. Reinders, really good play a little after the tackle from Çalhanoğlu where he kind of spun, got behind Bisek like off a pass, first touch kind of deal. And honestly, he should have put it past Sommer. Kind of miskicked, but it was signs that this was going to be a decent match. Um, we had another chance. It seemed like I think Taremi had a great layoff to Di Marco with a great first time shot. It was a great save by Magnan. Got some really good angles on the coverage. Um, yeah, but the first half, for the most part, it did get chippy. It was boring, but it did get chippy. Teo Hernandez, piece of shit. Probably the biggest piece of shit in Serie A. Completely flops on a play where Dumfries kind of just checked him, but he goes down holding his face, and that's Teo. He's a piece of shit. But then a ball that's already out of bounds, 10 yards away, no need to go be hauling ass like he was, and goes in to the back of Dumfries' heel, kind of rakes the back of his leg. I think a red, if they would have called it, I think it probably would have been harsh, but I don't think it would have been controversial. Like we've seen that given for a red. And I don't know. I don't didn't even see like the coverage kind of sucked on the Supercoppa, but it didn't seem like they even checked it. I don't know how. But then right before the half, going with some good news, Lautaro breaks his duck, gets a goal. It was off a quick throw in. DiMarco found Mkhitaryan, who found Taremi at the top of the box, laid it off to Lautaro, cuts back, beating Chow for Milan, gets it on his left, and then goes near post underneath Teo into the back of the net. 1-0 Inter going to the half. Great to see Lautaro do that. He had a great game today. Um, but that was the end of the half. And some of my halftime thoughts, going back to Hakan Çalhanoğlu, he was subbed off early, probably around the 30th minute mark. Reports are saying initially it might be another adductor's injury that he had earlier. Not a good sign. I think Acerbi has been going through the same thing. He injured it, came back a little early, and now he's been out for a little bit longer than before. So hopefully Hakan um, isn't out for too much longer. Lautaro back on target. Taremi at this point not looking great. Didn't really like his first half at all. Misses just chances. Doesn't even test the keeper half the time. And I put Milan had chances, but we were the better team. Can we put it away? Second half, Stefan de Vrij, huge challenge on Jimenez to start the half, and then a world class ball to Taremi. This is our second goal in the 47th minute. All in 2 minutes, de Vrij had a really good 2 minutes there. World class 2 minutes. Sorry, I shouldn't have said world class. I hate to use that term. It's annoying. Just an outstanding 2 minutes. Uh, he's got the quality. He was one of the better players on the pitch. He's been for the past few games. Um, and the guy who I said has to go at half, my halftime thoughts, Mehdi Taremi shuts me up here. Traps and takes the ball down wonderfully. Still had to do a lot after the touch, and then plays the ball around Mike Mignon. We're up 2-0. Uh, but short-lived celebrations. Almost immediately, Conceição brings on Leao uh, as a sub. Aslani loses the ball in midfield, which Leao picks it up, drives, and Mkhitaryan fouls. Uh, Initial thoughts was that it was a foul on Aslani after the replay. Clear and obvious foul on Aslani. Absolutely clear and obvious. It sucks that it had to be in a foul. In retrospect, Mkhitaryan maybe should have just let them drive and seen, because if they would have scored, it would have got brought back. But because it was a foul and a stoppage of play, they can't review that for VAR. And then there's the equalizer from Teo. Jan Sommer definitely should have done better, should have had that covered. But um, yeah, 2-1, and you could feel it shift. And Conceição, that sub Leao was the game changer. That really was the biggest moment of the match. You would have thought maybe the second goal for Taremi would be the biggest goal of the match, but Conceição shows his hand and makes that change. And Leao brought that driving, and then a little bit of feistiness onto the pitch. Comes out, fouls Bisek, and then kind of gives him a double soft kick. I don't think it was enough for a red, but led to a little scuffle with him and Barella and a little outbreak, and no yellow though. I think it should have still been a yellow. There's four eyes out there on the pitch, four different referees, and none of them saw the little bit of a kick or anything like that. Uh, Led to Barella being pissed the whole rest of the match. Really probably should have kept his head better. Ends up getting a yellow later on for a stupid tackle. But yeah, I mean, from the 55th to the 65th minute after that, it seemed like Milan, the tide was changing. Um, and it, it seemed like Milan were getting a hold of the match. But then we finally got to grips with the ball. Zelensky started being a little more impactful. He was kind of non-existent when he came on and kind of shit, but he began to be more impactful, and we ended up having opportunities. Taremi, another one where the ball was played through and he somehow, it didn't even look like he stuck his leg out. All he had to do was put his leg out and it would have been a goal. I don't know what was going on there. Augusto on the back post, like the announcer said, 60% of the ball was in. Super unlucky. Lautaro had a couple chances, and it was just what it was one of those Inter matches, and we've seen it a lot where if we can't put games away, a lot of the times the floodgates open whenever we score one. But if we let teams hang around a little bit, then there's always a chance at the end of the match for whatever. Pazzi Inter, it's in our DNA, I guess. That's why we're known as that, and it's hard to kick that mentality out of the club. But Pulisic scores. I think the defense should have done better. Uh, and Jan Bisek, I think, had a very tough match, and he got to play a full 90. I don't really agree with that on Inzaghi. We'll get to that a little later, but uh, Pulisic towards the end of the match, Leao, Teo, uh, they won a lot of headers every time. Usually in the box, we're pretty damn good at winning the balls first and getting good clearances. For whatever reason, towards the end of the match, it didn't seem like we were getting that. And Pulisic brings back another one to get tied 2-2, and then yeah, uh, Conceição sends on Tammy. I texted, I don't like having my group message. I'm not a fan of their two strikers being up there. It kind of scared me. And you know, t- last minute of the match, it's something you see. Inter sitting back, trying to hold on, kind of going for penalties. We weren't going to get the ball back. It didn't seem like, and Milan had their last chance. Pulisic kind of drove through. Bisek was late coming out, and he plays it through to Leao, who all he had to do was do a one-touch pass across in front of Bisek to Tammy Abraham for the tap in, and Milan come away with the Supercoppa victory, 3-2, complete the comeback. Um, yeah, not an easy pill to swallow for an Inter fan, but again, luckily it's just the Supercoppa. And hopefully this is a wake up call that the season is going to be tough. There's going to be a grind, and and not every game is going to be easy, even if we are on good form. Some thoughts at the end of this. First one, 3 goals in a game after we've gone like what, five in a row, I think it is, without conceding a goal. So that's something we need to kind of watch. Bisek, like I said, didn't look great. Um, De Vrij looked great. I think Bastoni going forward looked great. He looked a little slow in defense, guarding Pulisic and Jimenez and some other people that were on their right. DiMarco looked off. But yeah, in defense, we didn't look all there. I think De Vrij really held us together. Hopefully, Acerbi, Darmian, Pavard coming back soon. I think these guys have played a lot of games. It's the one part I think I mentioned on a podcast episode, the last one. Need to really hope our defense can stay healthy and hold up. Speaking of health, Hakan, hopefully he comes back soon. I think it was a foul on Aslani, and I think Aslani did try well. His passes, he had the right ideas. His passes were literally an inch or two off, and that could be just simply from lack of game play and getting the rhythm into playing that comes in week in and week out from playing. But he definitely got fouled in the lead up to the first goal, but you still can't get caught in possession like that, which he sometimes does. And yeah, his confidence seemed to take a dip after that, and it showed. But Hakan, we got to have back. And then I think Inzaghi, we need to discuss Inzaghi on this one as well. Like I said, Bisek played a terrible match. I would like to have seen Darmian come on earlier and keep De Vrij in. De Vrij was really a great player, was our best player the last two matches, in my opinion, and played incredible throughout this match as well. And don't know if he's just fatigued or what, but I think Bisek should have been the one to come off. I think that was a bad sub from Inzaghi. I think Davide Fratesi needs to be done with the club. He hasn't done anything, and him bringing him on, taking off Barella, you could see how pissed Barella was. Good friend of mine, Dave. He's done an episode for us before, DK and Dave. mentioned it's a final, it's a Supercoppa final. Who gives a fuck if Barella gets a red card? One thing I'm not sure of though if it carries over into the league. But even then, we're playing Venezia on the weekend. Like, leave Barella in the match. Fratesi doesn't do anything, and I've mentioned this time and time again this season on this podcast is Islani. His impact on the match goes down so much whenever Fratesi is in the match. I think the whole team suffers a little bit when Fratesi is in the match. But but yeah, bringing those two subs on, not bringing on an Arnautovic or somebody uh, that's well equipped for a physical duel like this. It can put some bodies and really whack some defenders late in the matches when they don't want to. I think he would maybe could have had a good impact off the match. Um, yeah, and it just seemed like Conceição brought on Leao and the game shifted, and Inzaghi didn't have an answer to that. In-game management, we've mentioned a lot of times with Inzaghi. He figures it out sometimes, but sometimes he just gets absolutely dominated in game against a really good tactician. But yeah, Inter's been on form. We play Venezia at the weekend, like I said. This is a tough pill to swallow, this Supercoppa loss, especially with how well we played, I think, in large stretches of the match. It's very reminiscent of that Atletico Madrid quarter-final loss last year or the Milan derby earlier in the season. But Inzaghi's got to get these guys back on it, and then we got to get 3 points against Venezia uh, on the weekend, and hopefully finish this January out strong. I think this January, like I mentioned, is huge. So we have pretty decently easy schedule compared to the rest of the people we're kind of at the top with. So we could really create some separation potentially, and maybe rest some players as well. There's no international break in January, so maybe we can get a good run of games from Lautaro, get him on form. Him and Thuram on form together would be great. But yeah, it sucks that this is the way it had to be today. But you know what? This is Inter. Good, one of the best squads in the world. We'll bounce back, and I have faith we are going to win the Scudetto and go pretty deep in Champions League and Copa. Uh, appreciate all the support, guys. It's been a little slow recently, and hopefully I'll be back to giving out some more content and hopefully improving stuff, maybe changing things up. It's hard with a full-time job, but we'll make it happen. Hopefully, guys, really appreciate all the support. If you have any comments or just want to give us a like, subscribe, or tell somebody else about us, appreciate the support, guys. As always, Forza Inter, and we'll talk to you next time.